House Sale, track 14 from the House album. Okay, so this one, I remember this. As I say, we've got into 14 house tunes now, pretty much being made after one after the other over whatever time it took to make each one. So I think it was the space of a year, really, all said and done. Obviously, I don't think I started on the 1st of January and worked away, but I think I'm pretty confident this was 2025, maybe, yeah, so something like that. Anyway, as I said, if you've been with me from the beginning, you will know that there's all sorts of music I like, and I think by the time I got to track 14, making house tunes, I was maybe, is running out of steam the right thing, or maybe getting a bit fed up of the cutesy side, if that's such a thing in house, or the happy dappy side. So House Sale, I think is a little bit of a prog house, a progressive housey type attempt again. It certainly reminds me of a Bowie tune when it starts. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to David Bowie. Okay, David Bowie was David Bowie. I'm not in the same league. I'm not saying that every David Bowie tune was great. Tin Man, let's not forget. But David Bowie was great, and I will say that. Like him or not, he created some great stuff. But he was an influence on me in a way. I didn't really realise. I'm not a massive David Bowie fan. I can't say that I've got hundreds of I think I've probably got 2 David Bowie albums, if I've got that. But I will say this, when David Bowie died, it affected me in a way I was really surprised about. It was almost like a family member dying. And like I said, and I only say that because, I've been alive enough to have quite a few prominent people, celebrities if you like, or band people die that are, in my lifetime. But David Bowie one really did affect me. And as I say, I probably only got 2 albums, if that. Don't remember ever going to a Bowie concert, although I may have seen him at I've been to so many weird things like those Live 8 type things and stuff. So I'm not saying that it's comparable to Bowie, because it isn't. Although I do remember when Bowie got into dance music for a bit, I would have loved to have been able to have seen him and said, no, David, the lyrics you're trying to put on there, they're too long. It's not right, it's not working. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's not what he was trying to do, but a couple of his sort of dance tunes I've heard, I'm sorry mate, it didn't work for me, but I'm not taking away anything from Bowie. Even if he only did his early stuff, as I said, it's a gift to the world, and he gave plenty of gifts to the world. Anyway, back to the House Sale. I think it's a bit of a nod to my harder music days. And again, I'm not going to say it's punk, I'm not going to say it's indie, but I think I was trying to bring a little bit of that in. You instantly when you hear it, you'll know what I'm trying to explain. I'm sure you will. If you're someone like me whose music tastes are a bit eclectic, so if you've experienced Bauhaus, Velvet Underground, Lou Reed, Cramps, all these sort of things, there's that darker side, and I think it's got a little bit of that, a little bit of metallicness to it. It's definitely a bit harder, but it's not hard. It's still, if this popped on a rave dance floor, it wouldn't be out of place. Oh, well, that's my opinion. But it's got this wicked little vocal chop. I don't use samples in the sense... I might use a sound sample, which is, say, like a single note. So like if I wanted a harmonica or something, I might use the sound sample, but I don't use loops, for example. So you can get like drum loops. So basically I can have the drums playing, then they've been created by someone else. I don't do that. I know, and I was shocked by this, but a lot of the top music producers, they do use these things. and I kind of think, well, is it yours or is it someone else's? But it's still a skill to put these things in the right places and make them sound great. Occasionally, I do use sample loops, vocal sample loops, because I don't have a singer, and that's certainly something I'm not able to do. But I do tend to chop them around. So basically, what that means is you get like a vocal, so someone's singing 1 2 3 4 5, and I can cut that up and have it 4 3 2 5, or 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5, that sort of, you can just move it around, and you can also sometimes change the pitch or the note they're singing. The software will do that for you if you know what you're doing, and I try to make it do that if I want it to be higher. So if I want a singer singing higher, I might bring it into a certain sample and change the note that it's on. Or there's a new thing I think I've learned, that if I change the key or the root note, I think it's the key that you're making a whole track in, if you bring in a sample, the system changes it to match that scale. See, I'm sounding like I know what I'm talking about now, like, I don't know, keys, scales. I don't. I sort of do. Like the other day, I learned what a root note was, and I pretty much think I know that. But then the other day, I was reading something else, and I thought, oh, I didn't know it meant that. I thought it meant this. So I'm not now sure whether I know what the root note is, but I still think it's the lower note of the first chord that you use, or the lowest note of all the chords or the notes that you're using. I might be wrong. Again, that's what trolling's for, so feel free. But and plus, I'll probably learn something. So this tune is an interesting tune, I have to admit. And as I say, it's getting towards the end, so I think there's 6 more tracks to, it's track 14, so there's 6 more tracks to the 20. I mean, 20 is the right number for an album, isn't it? Anyway, these, I think so in this case, because I don't think any of these tunes are under 5 minutes. I think we're about 5 minutes. So that gives you like a lot. An hour, is it? So that's an album. And I think I was must have been getting to the end of this and going for a change. So, and I think this is what this tune represents. I mean, there was a while that I'd forgotten all about this, and I think I do have some hard house tunes. I don't know if you ever experienced hard house. I think I came into the end of the 90s, and whereas I didn't mind some of the hard house stuff, like the initial stuff. Like I said early on, I mean, the best of any genre is usually can usually be universally liked by people. So, for example, I'm not a big fan of hard house. That's what it was called, wasn't it? And it's stompy for me, and I think it's for people that are in that really stompy mood, and I'd sort of grown out of that by then. So because I remember my DJ friend would be playing a lot of that for the Australians that had come over to London in the late 90s and early 2000s, because it was new to them. They were coming over for the scene, and so that was their kind of hardcore thing, I think. And there's a few tunes I like. I can't think of. There's like Get a Rush. I like that. And there are some tunes that I liked on the hard house, but it was usually the hard house anthems, if you like. But yeah, it wasn't a genre I could really get into. I like a little bit more of interest, a little bit more breaks and changes, whereas hard house was more of a driving thing, I think. So perhaps House Sale has been influenced a little bit by that, but I don't think so. It's still got the breakdowns, but it just has that strange sort of metallic feel to me. So I think, I think we're going to move on now. So hopefully you'll join me for track 15, which is going to be Haunted House. I think I was struggling now for the names, because I'm going to have to listen to Haunted House before I play it, but I know that's got nothing to do with ghosts or anything. I know there's not going to be any horror sound effects or anything on that. It's just the name. So that's another one at 128. Okay, so I'm just thinking now of that next track. So I think what I'm going to do is play House Sale for you, and you can let me know what you think. So here it comes, House Sale. No, yes, House Sale. God, blimey. See, my mind's drifting because I have no idea what the next tune is. To be fair, there's next 6 tunes. I can't think of them. I know Roundhouse. I've got a feeling again. I remember choosing the name for Roundhouse, and I didn't really want to because of the London music venue Roundhouse. I didn't want it to be, because initially I thought of the Roundhouse that the olden days people was it like the Vikings lived in, or the Saxons I think lived in roundhouses. That's what I was initially thinking, but then I started to run out of house names. But then afterwards, the puns, but then afterwards I finished it, loads of them came to me, but it still stayed as Roundhouse. And I can remember struggling over that, but I can't remember what it is. Can't remember what Gatehouse is. I think Safe House is a good tune. And I've got Housemaid. And I don't like Housemaid because it almost... I feel like I want to change that because it makes... almost, I'm not disrespecting the job of housemaid. I've done it actually, though I can't remember what we were called. I think we were called the housemaids. I don't think it mattered. Housekeeping, I think we were called. But I don't want it to be derogatory to anybody. But again, I don't think any job is derogatory. It's a job, and at the end of the day, if the worst it is, the more respect you got to have for the person doing it. So if you're a toilet cleaner, respect. I've done that, and sometimes it can be horrendous. So, but at the end of the day, it's a job. So why I chose housemaid, I don't know. Again, I was struggling I was getting fed up with it, I think. Anyway, here we go for... do you know what, is this what they do on podcasts? Because it doesn't seem to be, for the few snippets that I could be bothered to research. I call it research, where I just clicked on some people's. I'm not interested in what they're saying. But obviously, because I'm the only one who can say anything great. You've been here for 14 episodes and you know exactly what I mean. So anyway, I wonder if this is what they do. Maybe. Do you know what? You know what's going to happen? What I always do, I'm going to make 20 of these. I'm going to spend ages editing them together, cut out some of these gaps, put them all together, put that radio thing on the front, upload it, I'm guessing you make a thumbnail for it, put bloody descriptions in it, do all that. Then I'm going to actually watch a couple and go, oh, maybe I should have done mine like that. I know I'm going to do that. That's the way I am. Bloody idiot. But anyway, here we go. House Sale.